Trade tracks, I think we got one.
It's voting season, bruh.
No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting.
But it's mellow madness, because you will ask yourself the question, what were they thinking about, the angry man, when they did what they did? And then you got to ask the men, what are they thinking about, the angry man, when they allow the behaviors of some of these modern women?
Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy.
All right, guys, we're going to take the time to more or less explore and expound upon what's going on. The question remains that, or the question that one would ask themselves is this: is the black community finished? And I think many will say that based on the evidence, the black community indeed is finished. You know, many times when we talk about masculinity or anything associated with men and masculinity, it's always from a position of deference, but also from a position of where men are not exercising their power in their communities and their families. And see, the reason why I have an issue with this, guys, is that if we say we want men to be our leaders in the community, and we say we want men to more or less guide and protect the interests of women and children, when you see this emasculation, or this verbal emasculation by men like SaucySantana and the girl that was rapping for the Planned Parenthood initiative, and also the whole thing about strippers in the early part of the 2020 election, it lets you know that many women don't honor and respect the men that they say they want to love and respect and put them in a position of feeling safe and secure. Why is it, guys, that our community is so broken and so damaged to the point that when men do try to speak out and be clarion callers, it's often met with a level of disdain? We're going to explore the dysfunction associated with this guy called SaucySantana, because in the clinical world, guys, we call the situation associated, we call it a homeostasis. And a homeostasis basically means there is an equilibrium. But the question remains, is there an equilibrium with the black community, a community where men are not more or less the pillars, and then SaucySantana, Trina, and others just a manifestation of a microcosm, which is synonymous to a greater macrocosm. So we're going to break this thing down, guys. And the question that I challenge you guys is this: is the black community finished? Many will say so. What say you? So let's check it out. Let's break it down and more or less look at the evidence. So hold tight. Let me upload this thing real quick. And guys, let's critique this. And let's break it down.
Trade tracks, I think we got one.
It's voting season, bruh.
No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no loving. No voting, no.
And look at how men are often reduced to the greatest common denominators, or by men that don't more or less represent true heteronormative masculinity. No voting, no fucking. And basically says is that men, if you don't fall in line to get in place, as I said earlier, there's going to be a consequence. And so men, you should be offended, to the good women that are listening, you should be offended that we use the dregs of society to more or less represent the greater black consciousness or the greater black collective. It should be offensive to you that others use the struggles and the legacy of our ancestors like Dr. King and Stokely Carmichael and Eldridge Cleaver and Malcolm X. Those people put their lives on the line. If Dr. King was alive and Malcolm X, they would be sad and frustrated because, the forerunners or the progenitors that came forth, they put in a bunch of time, energy, and sweat equity. Harriet Tubman and Fannie Lou Hamer and others that were not only civil rights activists, but your grandparents that prayed the civil rights movement into existence, they would be more or less frustrated because what you're seeing now, guys, is total debauchery. And so you can't have a community without the warrior class. The warrior class are the boys and the men, or the men and the boys. But how can you nurture something into power where you got this display of disrespect? And once again, homeostasis is not on full display, but brokenness and dysfunction is on full display. And that's why we're the state that we're in now as it relates to a community that once was, but now appears to be dissipating at a higher level than normal. So let's finish listening to it, guys. Hold tight. And we're going to finish breaking this thing down.
Touch, no voting, no nothing. No voting, no bucking, no voting, no bucking. BLK app looking for some action. Why the homie Scott was heavy. Face is a 9, abs is a 10, D is a to be determined.
And then, you know, the other thing, guys, that's so, you know, he said face is a 9. And the over-sexualization of not only and the objectification of men and black men. But, you know, we have our populists that say don't objectify our women. But clearly this man is being objectified, not only as a token to fall in line to get sex. But imagine men said no cooking, no protection. And they had the woman in the kitchen. It would be a tremendous outcry. But this is what our current society has more or less fallen into, because it is meta madness. And you will ask yourself the question, what were they thinking about when they came up with this foolishness associated with not only the family, but also a community that's faltering at an all-time high? So keep listening, guys. Hold tight.
He got mad jokes. He don't seem broke. The only red flag, he said he don't vote. This midterms for all the single cute. Wanna hit this booty, gotta do your civic duty. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no fucking. No voting, no loving. No voting, no touching. No voting, no nothing. No voting, no fucking.
And once again, this is what our communities come to. There are some that say, save it from what? As I did a show last night, I said, until they vote. And once again, I'm not against the community, and I'm not against a collective consciousness associated with the community. But what you're seeing on full display, this monstrosity, is something that should not or never be revered by those that believe in family and tradition. And while I'm not against, I don't have any qualms against anybody who will live an alternative lifestyle, that's your business. It's a great disrespect to those that are heterosexual and believe in traditionalism. But we're gonna keep looking at it, guys, and we're gonna look at this foolishness on full display as it is clearly mellow madness.
Yeah,
don't stop now. Stuff my ballot box again, but my homegirl through. Put the buy in partisan. Politics be so nasty. Make me wanna flirt ya. Show you how to be a poll worker. Legs in the air, I don't care. Anyone can get it. Universal health care. If you wanna come before the deadline. Come in the jacuzzi, gerrymander this coochie.
no voting, no love, no voting.
But once again, guys, these are the same women that say don't objectify us. But the only thing that you use as a display to show any virtue or modicum of femininity is your private parts or your vagina, and it's unfortunate because we always are reduced to the lowest common denominator. We're always reduced to it, and we wonder why the world don't take us serious as a collective. To those black people that are innocent, the world always encapsulate you with the others that talk about using their feminine parts for gerrymandering. And that's something, guys, you guys should be out and incensed, or more or less in moral outrage, because we should say enough is enough. But keep listening.
No touch, no voting, no nothing. Can't let me down, gotta stand up for something. No voting, no love, no voting, no touch, no voting, no nothing. BLK, we gon' stand up for something. Yeah, that's right. No voting, no love. If the coochie is to go hit the pose. Period.
So now war has been reduced to this vagina. And that's why I told you guys, you have to have control over your loins. Because once you can control your desire and urge for sex, this foolishness will not mean anything to you. Another thing that we talked about protection, but this young woman rapper is actually online being an advocate for the deletion of our children and our future. And you're seeing a full agenda on full display concerning this. Once again, Dr. King, Malcolm X, Eldridge Cleaver, Stokely Carmichael, and many, many more, Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, and Fannie Lou Hamer, they will be incensed at the rhetoric that we're hearing now and their sacrifices and how their sacrifices appear to be in vain, because we have become a consciousness that's not based on truth and sustainability and rationale, but a society that's based on foolishness and more or less reducing the commonality of a black man only to vagina. And something to think about, guys, but we're going to finish listening to the rest of this. Hold tight as we break this thing down. And the next one is more or less about the young lady about Planned Parenthood. Hold tight.
Baby daddy free. That mean I ain't got a baby coming out of me. So I'm.
And you know, you have so many women that play the victim card. Not all. Shout out to the good sisters, but they said that, you know, our women are being deleted or by black men at a high rate, but yet we celebrate the deletion of the unborn in videos like this. And this is the pathology that we have now in the current collectiveness of black people, where we celebrate trash. You know, Anton Daniels said it better than me. What I remember the black collective being in the past was a symbol of vibrancy, hard work. But now it appears that trash appears to be the mouthpiece to the sustainability and the image of black people versus what our ancestors more or less stood up for in the past. And the fact they're so carefree about the automatic deletion of the unborn is something to think about. But you say you want the protection of black men, and then you say that our women are deleted at a high rate, but you celebrate the same things that you said that you don't believe in or you want to be saved from. Make it make sense. And that's why I call this series Meta Madness, because you will ask yourself the question, what were they thinking about when they were doing what they were doing? What were they thinking about? It's meta madness because metacognition basically means to think about what you're thinking about, and it appears that they are not thinking about what they're thinking about, which actually adds or fuels the madness. Hold tight.
ABORTING. On my way to the clinic, I forgot the plan B. Let's go. Bitch, I got murder on my mind. Let's go. Bitch, I got murder on my mind. Let's go. Yeah. Bitch, I got murder on my mind. Let's go. Murder. Bitch, I got murder on my mind. I forgot the plan B. Ain't no cuffing me. You can't put me on the shelf outside with the team. All these having babies, but that ain't finna be me. Said he wanna settle down.
And once again, guys, that's what the black collective is being reduced to. You know, foolishness. No voting, no bucking. I got deletion on my mind. And now they're saying, get your booty to the pole. That's what people think about the black community. Foolishness, bojangling, hot sauce, watermelon. That's what they think about you. They don't see us as being intellectuals outside of a collective, but they all think we are more or less ascribed to foolishness, debauchery, and also the dehumanization of women and men with the current rap culture that we're in. But we're going to finish looking and listening to it, guys, and you guys tell me what you think about the madness.
Hello, and welcome to another Get Your Booty to the Pole public service announcement.
First of all, we want to thank you, brothers, for getting your booty to the poll during the November 3rd election. We had record voter turnout.
Making it rain ballots, y'all. But it's not over yet. Georgia has a runoff election on January 5th for 2 Senate seats. We want you to know that it's not about who you vote for, it's what you vote for.
Want criminal justice reform?
What kind of judges do you want in our courts?
The Senate approves presidential appointments, like who runs the Department of Justice and the FBI.
The Senate approves federal judges, and that's a lifetime appointment, y'all.
Black lives matter to us. Want to know if Black lives matter to...
Well, it's obvious Black lives don't matter to you all because when you delete your babies at a higher rate than any other ethnic group, when you use the murders of Black men to push an agenda, you can't say that Black lives matter. They don't matter. What matters is power. BLM was complicit in taking millions of dollars. And all too often, guys, they use the same talking points. They use the same pawns, gullible women to push agendas to their own detriment. And once they use them up, they discard them and get rid of them like toilet tissue. And sadly, guys, that's what we're dealing with now in this current world that we live in. Foolishness is the new norm. And we use sexualization to treat men and objectify Black men as if they have no control. And sadly, some of you men don't have no control. You'll do anything for some box, to the point that you have indignified yourself just for the sake of box. And I get it, we men, it's hard sometimes, but it comes to a point where you got to put a line in the sand and say there are some things I'm not going to more or less do or tolerate or settle for as it relates to the greater collective of masculinity. But we're going to finish listening to it, guys, and then I want to show you guys something else, and then we're going to end this short reaction. Hold tight.
The candidates? Go to getyourbootytothepole.com to learn where they stand on issues that affect us.
And by us, we mean Black people.
So think about what you want, Georgia.
And once again, guys, they always assume that Black people are static. There's no such thing as static Blackness. I don't represent this foolishness. They don't represent me. So I don't know what she means by, I don't know what she means by Black people. This woman doesn't represent me. And hopefully, man, she doesn't represent you, because this monstrosity is what we're seeing now being more or less manifest. Foolishness is the new norm now instead of more objectivity and people having a semblance of common sense. But we're going to finish listening to it. Actually, I can't show so much because, because it might be something that goes against YouTube policy. Hold tight.
And on January 5th, let's finish what we started.
Get your booty to the polls.
All right, so that's enough. Hold tight. And so get your booty to the pole. That's what they think about, you guys. Get your booty to the pole. Use sex, the objectification of men, lusting after women, and them on the flip side objectifying themselves. But then I turn around and cry victimhood when men say or do something outside of character or something that goes against their victimhood mindset. And God, that's once again the world that we live in. That's the world that we live in. This is the new America, where indecency and lack of common sense and critical thinking and meta awareness is the new norm. And so we wonder why the world don't take us serious, and it's because of foolishness like this, and the lack of respecting and honoring our men allow us to be the mantles of masculinity in a time where masculinity appeared to be not only minimized but also under attack. I want to show you guys something else that a friend showed me, and this adds to the meta madness. There's so many women more or less say they won't, but this woman, guys, it's going to be real short. She left a good man because he made $80,000, but she said she was bored. This woman left a good man because he made $80,000 and she was bored. So I want you guys to listen to this foolishness and ask yourself the question, what was she thinking about to get rid of a good man that made that kind of money? But this will be the same woman a couple of years from now complaining about where all the good men go. Hold tight.
Kids with all that, right? he made $80,000 a year, doing something in tech, right? And you know, no kids. It was great. Like, he was like in his early 30s. It was really like ideal. Like, I had to question myself, like, why is it that I'm not attracted to this guy? And I realized that, you know, a year, it's like he had these same, I know this sounds so petty, he had the same exact schedule every day. I knew exactly what he was going to do. It was so boring. He didn't have anything else outside of his job. And when I asked him, like, what are your goals? It was like, oh, you know, I hope I get a raise. And it's like, that's freaking boring. And like, I know exactly what you're doing every day. You're not, you know, you're not investing in anything. You don't have any other business endeavors. You're literally just depending and relying on this job. And what happens if they fire you? What happens if something happens? You know, it's like you have no other backup plan.
And this woman is not in touch with what it takes to be a feminine woman. She's only in touch with what's best for her. This man is making $80,000. But this poor, pitiful woman lacked the feminine demure and quality to help harness that man and to push him into something great. And $80,000 in many states is a good salary. Some would say it's nothing. Depending on where you live, it's not nothing. But in North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, some parts of South Carolina, some parts of Florida, even in Virginia or Tennessee, $80,000 is good money. Don't let nobody fool you. But this is all too common, guys, what we see. The meta madness, the victim mindset, the wanting you to save them after they've thrown their lives away. And I tell you, man, to save yourself, because saving yourself is the best solution to getting the outcomes that you want. So let's finish listening to this, and then we're going to end this real quick. Hold tight.
Besides just get another job and just work a job. And like for me, you know, I do like dreamers. I do like people who have big goals and big visions, and someone I can, you know, follow their lead, who can, if I want to be someone who is an entrepreneur, if I want to be somebody who is like doing things, I want somebody who like can help me get there, or knows, or will do it with me, and somebody who's just like, oh yeah, I'm just working a job and I'm just hoping to kind of get a raise. And it's like, that to me, that was just too boring to me. Like, you don't have.
But what is she doing? You're more concerned about that. You're more concerned about being boring. And that's why so many men say that some modern women are nothing but children. They're nothing but children because their priorities are wrong. You're concerned about him being boring. The man is making $80,000, you know, but you can't find a way to be productive. You might say he's boring. He might say that you are unappealing in your lack of originality and creativity. He could say you're not creative, because a creative feminine woman will find a way to help that man take that 80 and multiply it to 160. But it's obvious this woman is coming in with a handout, looking to be served instead of serving that man. But imagine if your grandparents made that kind of money years ago, how they could take that money and multiply it. But this is what modern women have been reduced to.
You're coming from, I got some pushback for you.
Okay.
You ready? I got some pushback for you. So first thing, let me ask you a question. If you have to choose between two different people to train you, a trainer who they tell you, hey, this is my training schedule. Every day I get up at 5 a.m. I go on a run to the gym. I run to the gym as a warm up. I get to the gym. I train for I lift heavy for 30 minutes. And then I do like a breakdown, like I do a warm down for 15 minutes, a little light cardio workout, maybe some abs for 15 minutes, you know, as a cool down. And then I speed walk back home. I do that 5 days a week consistently. And then on the 6th day, I'll ride a bike, you know, hike up a mountain, something like that. Versus you have another trainer over here where you're like, hey, I want you to train me. And then they tell you, cool, I'm qualified to be your trainer because I work out throughout the week. And you're like, cool, okay, how often do you work out? Like, what's the schedule? And again, you're trying to pattern your fitness goals off of each of these trainers. The second trainer says, okay, pattern your goals off of me. And you're like, okay, cool, when should I work out? Okay, well, be like me. Just kind of be spontaneous with it. Just kind of go to the gym on this day go for a run, the other day, you know, do this other workout, maybe do a HIIT workout this day, do sprints this other, just kind of make it all over the place. We both know if you look down the pipeline as to which one of them is going to actually be successful, it is the one that has structure, the one that has the boring schedule,
right,
where it's day in, day out. Now, the reason why this applies is because even if we're talking about entrepreneurs, the vast majority of successful entrepreneurs, they will tell you they didn't become successful just because it was like, oh, I was doing this and doing that. My schedule was up and down. They will tell you, no, I had to get structured. I got up at this time. I might have meditated or prayed. I exercised a little bit for 15 minutes. I showered up, had a little light breakfast. I worked on my business for 4 hours. I took a break. And they have very consistent schedules. They have a lot of structure within them.
Right.
And so, likewise, like entrepreneurs, the only thing that's really something like unique about an entrepreneur versus a boring 9-to-5 worker is that entrepreneurs might be dreamers. They might think about plans and ideas in the future, but they.
And I think you guys get it. I think you guys get it in a nutshell. When a society and a community have structure and order and balance, that's called a homeostasis, which basically means things are balanced or in line. But currently, there's a disequilibrium in the mind of many modern women, and there also is a disequilibrium in the current community. And until we look at the black spots and the dark spots that are more or less confronting many of our men and women as it relates to them becoming the better versions of themselves, we're going to continue to have this circular argument and this circular reasoning as it relates to trying to find resolve. So many always talk about let's find solutions, but when the solutions are there, many will take those same said solutions and throw them in the trash can because it does not satiate what they want to hear. I want to challenge some of you men on today, especially the men that are working hard and doing the right thing. If you can't find you a woman that's honorable and respect you as a man, start coming up with a game plan to work on yourself. And if you can't find your wife here in America, find your wife in a country that's going to help you take that $80,000 and multiply it to 160. Madam Madness is on an all-time high with the current American Five Private. But you don't have to be a victim of Madam Madness if you are cerebral and doing the self-introspection and doing the shallow work to help you become the better version of yourself. This is part of a growing series called Metal Madness. I want you guys to enjoy your Sunday, and I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are several steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male, and understanding how the current climate plays a role into how men and women think, and sadly many of our modern women, is paramount to as men try to find resolve, peace, and tranquility in a time where Metal Madness appears to be the all-time norm. Be well.